In a studio that's in a basement comes the epic story of how two friends changed the future of the movie podcast game forever. The reviews are in. Boys Life magazine gives the High Sci podcast 4.5 acorns. The Daily Bugle says, these guys are super legit. And Pope Francis declares the podcast as life-affirming. From the kid who tried to get smart with David Spade and got fucking old.
You're still bad.
And the guy who can name all four Baldwin brothers.
Alec, William, Daniel, and the baby boy, Stephen.
Live from the studio of his parents' basement. The Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Kraus. But before we begin, if you guys can please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So without further ado, Cash Kraus.
Oh, Mason, what a treat we have for the guest, for the audience today, because you know what we're doing? Mortal Kombat! Get over here. Oh, it's so fucking awesome, dude. It's so... And we're not talking about the new one. And I love the shirt.
Thank you.
Mortal Kombat. I love the shirt.
Given to me by Joey Norton 2 or 3 years ago, the one who just came on for Godzilla vs. Kong.
Didn't give me a shirt.
No, he didn't.
Didn't even offer one. Super cool. Yeah, we're doing, of course, the 1995 Mortal Kombat based off the very popular games of the same name.
Right.
That everyone fucking knows. Ultra violent. The government's been trying to take that game series down since the day it dropped.
You got to take that bad boy down. It's not good for the kids.
I don't know if you've heard, but these Mortal Kombat tournaments have been popping up all over the United States ever since the game dropped. Kids are dying. They're giving fatalities to each other.
Yes, they are.
Slicing heads up.
Sucking souls
pulling
out.
Spines out of bodies. It's become a real pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got to get this game under control.
Yeah.
But
the war on drugs? No, the war on Mortal Kombat is more important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, yeah, if you haven't seen this film, which you... Mason, you have not.
This was the first time I've seen this, the original.
Because mostly people only love this movie is when they have some kind of nostalgic, like I did. Because I thought this movie was the fucking coolest when I was a kid. Because I loved the Mortal Kombat games. And this film as a kid really paid off. Yeah. Not as much when you're an adult. It's there's much more things you can pick out and be like, oh, that kind of sucks. Yeah. But as far as video game movies go, it's one of the best, which is not saying much because there hasn't been ever a good video game movie. But, yeah, I really enjoy this film. And one of the greatest soundtracks to a film ever.
Unquestionably. It has been stuck in my head since the day I watched this film.
You play this song when you're working out or something, and then... 2 minutes later, you're shadow boxing the next old lady next to you. She's freaking out. You don't know
what the hell's going on.
Because she's got no idea. You're playing Mortal Kombat in your head.
She's
and
just
it's
on the
time.
subway trying to get to the next location. Now she's terrified for her life.
Little does she know she's now a combatant in the Mortal Kombat world.
When you are challenged, you must accept.
Absolutely, or it's death.
Yes.
But, yeah, I love this film. Directed by a guy who now he's known for directing pretty much only shitty video game movies. Yeah. Paul W.S. Anderson is how I know him, but he says Paul Anderson on here. But he's directed the well-received Resident Evil films everyone loves.
I do love those films.
I bet you haven't seen all of them.
Oh, I've seen all of them. I was a big fan of them, actually.
He also directed Alien vs. Predator.
Okay.
Of course, one of the most well-received of the Predator and Alien franchises.
Absolutely.
He directed Death Race. So just a lot of schlock. His best film is Event Horizon, a very underrated horror sci-fi film that we'll definitely review at some point. But yeah, he's one of those where you're like, how's this guy keep getting work?
Yeah.
How the fuck does? Because he's not a good director,
right?
At all. But his movies make a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
Well, this one made a lot of money. $18 million budget, turned around, made 124.7 at the box office. I'd say that's a good day.
That's one thing you say about this film is some of the acting, horrible. Some of the fight sequences, bad.
Yep.
The CGI, horrible.
Well, for 95, let's give him a little leeway.
I don't give him any leeway at all because Jurassic Park came out 2 years prior to that and has phenomenal fucking CGI. So it's wild. And that's one thing about this movie is you gotta, I won't give him any leeway for the shitty CGI, but I will give him leeway for the confidence they had in the CGI, where they use it so damn much.
Even with the little reptilian character.
Reptile, yeah. That's all. I mean, that's the main one I'm talking about. It looks bad. It looks like a PS1 game.
Yeah, it does.
But, the confidence, though, that they had, they said, hey, this looks good.
Well, even Scorpion, too, that thing coming out of his hand.
Yeah, it's so bad. And they have
awful.
so many cool practical effects. That's what I was going to say, is the acting, the action sequences, CGI, not great.
No.
But the set design is fucking amazing. It looks so good. The temple that they go in, when Johnny Cage fights Scorpion on, like, it's like the wooden walkways or whatever,
Yes.
and when they get transported, that looks so good, man. All those scenes look so good. The sets look amazing. Goro looks fucking fantastic because it's practical effects.
Well, that was the highlight of this film for me. I just wanted to see Goro over and over and over.
Oh, he
again.
looks so
looked
good.
awesome.
Yeah, and what a unfitful death for Goro.
Yeah,
the
no joke.
lamest
The
death.
way I know, I really thought like there was going to be more to that death, and then when that happened, I go, "You've got to be kidding me."
He was the prince.
He was like the prince of death, like the warrior of all warriors.
He's never
conquered.
lost. He's never lost
He
Mortal
gets
Kombat before. He was the last winner.
Kicked off a ledge. Are you kidding
It's kicked
me?
in the nuts. Those are 500 pairs of sunglasses, you asshole.
You imbecile!
That's what he says right before. And then he fucking Van Damme's him,
He does.
splits into the nut shot. That's one thing about Goro. He's probably got a big old donger.
Oh, he's got a sack. Those fuckers are heavy.
And he's wearing just loincloth. He's wearing no protection under that.
There's no
I
cut.
can't believe no one. There's no rules in Mortal Kombat. I can't believe no one's gone for that before. But Goro looks so awesome.
Yeah, he does.
But even as a kid, I was like, what the fuck? That's all you're going to use Goro? And he does not make another appearance.
No,
And
he does not.
He is dead.
Yeah.
But
It's not like Star Wars where they bring him back.
no, Goro is good. And probably just so fucking. But if you made that creature design or whatever and that costume, you think you'd want it so much
Use
more.
it as much as possible.
Yeah, but it does it looks fucking fantastic. But yeah, all that, the set design and the music, the soundtrack we already talked about, but the first electric dance music, EDM, to go platinum.
Wow.
This film hit, I think, platinum in the first 2 weeks it came out. Like people, and there's only one song I feel like in the soundtrack, and it's the main Mortal Kombat theme.
Yeah.
But people bought this up, and this is when you had to go out and buy CDs.
Oh, yeah, back in the day. I'm
So
almost
people-
forgetting those days.
So people
now.
bought actual Mortal Kombat CDs, yeah, I love it because I have a lot of nostalgia for it. But what did you think? Because this is your
hit number
first
10
time. I know, is
on
that
the Billboard.
incredible?
Yeah,
Just for one song.
it's wild. What did I think?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had brought it up about a week or two ago where you had said that this is a 90s nostalgia trip, and you hit the nail right on the head.
Yeah, if you could package 90s in one
In
film.
everything, it's literally this film. It is.
It is a 90s nostalgia trip for sure.
Yeah, obviously the CGI was awful, yada, yada, yada. And, we can critique it. But I thought this film was going to be horrible. Okay?
Yeah.
I really did. But I had a lot of fun with it. I actually liked it. I liked all the campiness. I liked the action sequences, though not perfect. I like Johnny Cage. I loved Goro.
Yes.
I don't know. For me, I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. If I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
I still enjoy it when I watch it
Yeah.
too, even though I watch it now with a more critical eye for sure. But I enjoy some fight scenes, and I always even thought this when I was a kid. Some fight scenes are so much better than others that
it is weird.
Some are so rigid and like slow moving that it's like, ugh, this looks. And they're playing it very fucking safe with these fight scenes. Like, make sure these actors are 18 feet away
Right.
when they're throwing these fucking punches, because you can tell it's not the Raid. where they're really throwing these punches.
No.
And they're content. It's
not even close.
It's guys, actors are far away. They're just using camera angles. But some fight scenes work so much better than others. And I figured there had to be a reason for that. Mm-hmm. So I looked it up, and this film it's one of those interesting ones where they did reshoots because they did the test screening and people loved it. And they said, we want more. It's one of those films, the rare films where reshoots doesn't mean the film was fucking awful. Right. They wanted more fight scenes. There wasn't enough fight scenes in the original cut. So they wanted more. But the original guy who did cinematography, or not, did choreography, couldn't come back for the reshoots. Mm. So they got some guy that was like some
B-list choreographer.
Opposite.
Yeah.
No, he was the good choreographer. The new guy that they got.
Oh, the new guy was good.
The new guy was from like, I can't remember. People will probably know, but he was some like well-known, like from Hong Kong choreographer. And the original guy was fucking awful. But this guy came in, and the new guy, and he did. So all the scenes, it was the scorpion scene when he goes to the wooden. They made more of that scene, and then the last scene with Reptile when he's human, and
when he's playing the ninja.
Yeah, that scene was never, like, literally, he just throws Reptile into the statue, and Reptile dies. They reshot that entire thing to give more fight scenes for Reptile. Because Reptile was never a human yet in the games either. Oh. But yeah, that whole fight scene was added in, and that fight scene looks fucking good. It looks fantastic.
It looks really good. Well, that was the main one that came to mind when you talked. I said that was definitely the new
the better one for sure, yeah. So that's kind of how it happened. But yeah, a weird thing where they reshoots was a good thing.
Yeah.
Usually it's a death sentence.
Very, very rare.
But we could talk about the casting a little bit because
Sonya Blade.
Yeah.
I feel like I recognized her.
She's from Billy Madison.
That's it. Yep, Billy Madison.
She was shooting Billy Madison when this was going on.
Yep.
But so they got her like the last moment because she ended up like auditioning, and they for like months previous, and they never got a call back. And because Cameron Diaz was supposed to do that role of Sonya Blade, and she got hurt the week before, and she had to drop out.
No way.
So they called this chick back and said, "Okay, you can do it now." And she's like, "Okay, I'm getting done with Billy Madison." And so she got off Billy Madison and went to do this.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then was in Nixon right after that. She shot 3 films in 1 year.
Yeah, and then Claude Van Damme was supposed to do was originally supposed to be Johnny Cage.
Okay.
Which makes a lot of sense because the character is based off of him.
Yeah.
But the funniest one we have to talk about, and everyone talks about it, is Michael Lambert playing Raiden. And because if you're not a Raiden or you're not a Mortal Kombat fan, Christopher Lambert, not my Michael Lambert, Christopher Lambert from Highlander, but he plays Raiden, a ancient Japanese thunder god. Lightning god. If you know anything about Christopher Lambert, not Japanese.
No, really. You know, I couldn't.
Lambert,
couldn't tell.
Yeah, you might not know Lambert. Not a traditional Japanese name.
No,
much more European, actually.
Yeah, I would say.
But yeah, that was the big uprise, big revolt when this came out, and still to the day is that they absolutely whitewashed Raiden. Because it couldn't have more than 3 Japanese or Asian people on a set in the 90s. It was against the rules.
Yeah, you could say this would be a case of whitewashing.
Absolutely. But yeah, I guess they just couldn't they had to have more white actors.
I guess so.
But he does a great job. He was the most expensive actor to have on because he was very well known at the time. And he had to shoot all of his shit like the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's why you don't get very many scenes with him.
No.
And he never comes down to fight or anything. But he, I guess, loved the movie, shooting it, and he volunteered to shoot all the scenes in Thailand for free.
Wow.
Yeah, he went out there and did the ending when they're all the monks are running around celebrating. He did all that for free.
Yeah.
Because he was like the only one. I guess he was kind of keeping the whole set under control because everyone was freaking out because most of these people have never done a film before. But he was the one that was kind of, they could go to him for like advice because he's been on so many films. Right. But they paid for him. For sure. But, yeah, he does a great job as Raiden, surprisingly, even though he's white. I'm almost 100% sure Raiden will be Asian in the new Mortal Kombat.
I would hope so. I would hope so.
But yeah.
I also love the 90s. It's typical 90s where they do the zoom ins and he's got his little brother, the wizard, the evil wizard, and he's like, you, and he's like, no. It's like a zoom in.
Oh well, every time
funny,
it was the cheesy.
Yeah.
Your soul is mine. And then it would do like the whoa, and then he would like go into his eye.
Every time when
like
someone
he was a
died.
genie.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
The little swirly effect.
Yeah, like he was getting sucked back into the lamp or something. But yeah. But how great is Shang Tsung, the main bad guy, is fucking fantastic in this. Like he's giving 100% in every scene.
For sure.
That's one thing is you got to love about this film is video game movies were so new at the time. You know, video games were so new at the time. Right. That no one knew that they were going to be like schlock at the time or B or anything. So people were taking it fucking seriously. Mm-hmm. There had been films before this. There had been an awful Street Fighter. And there had been an awful movie, Double Dragon, both based off fighting games. Mm-hmm. But before that, no. So these guys, that's the one thing you got to respect about this film is everyone's taking it very seriously. Yeah. I mean, as far as the filmmaking goes. Like the writing, not so much. It's so cheesy. The dialogue is horrible.
Cheesy.
Yeah.
Super cheesy.
But that's what one thing I appreciate is the filmmakers are taking it very fucking serious. And that's what Shang Tsung did too. I try to find his real name. Okari Hiroyuki Tagawa, has been in a lot of stuff. He's Johnny Tsunami's grandpa in the Disney films.
Okay.
But he plays Shang Tsung, and they said when he came on, he was the only one, or they had him envisioned as the role, and he came in full costume. Yeah. And during his audition, he stood on his chair and yelled, he said at the top of his lungs, and everyone was like, well, I think it's him. We don't have to pay for the costume. Yeah, he's in. But he does a fucking great job as Shang Tsung. Yeah. He does fucking awesome. And he even has a little fight scene at the end, even though he's kind of an older guy. He still fights Liu Kang. And Liu Kang does a good job too. Robin Shou, he does an awesome job as well. And we even get... one thing I loved about this movie is they kind of made the rule that you can only use their special powers when they eventually go to Outworld. Because that's when Liu Kang does his bicycle kick.
Yep.
He bicycle kicks Reptilian to the next fucking world. He kills him with it. And then he uses his fireball. But I like it because they kind of made it a rule that these powers exist in another dimension, but not in our world. Right. What it looks like in the new one they're doing is everyone just has powers in the fucking new world.
Yeah. Based on the birthmark thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's... But I like that they kind of made that rule in this one because it makes a lot more sense, to me at least, as far as an ancient evil tournament that people go to save their world. Yeah. But it makes as much sense as you fucking can with that. But I love this film.
I thought at times the editing was kind of choppy, where it was like we would go from one thing to the next, but then Johnny Cage was fighting Scorpion, and I'm like, how the fuck did we get to this point?
Well, this entire movie could be described as choppy.
Yeah, that's very true.
The pacing is very choppy. It goes like up and down for sure until they finally get to Outworld. Yep. But the editing it's wild. It definitely looks like at times that they shot like two different films. Mm-hmm. But I think that's got to be the reshoots, right? That they're intersecting these other scenes. Yeah. But yeah, Johnny Cage, he's my least favorite part of the video games and the movies.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's such a ridiculous, and they kind of poke fun at it here. But I love the exposition, because they have to do a ton of exposition in this film to get everyone caught up on the video game, who've never played the video game. So I love in Johnny Cage when he meets his quote-unquote sensei, and he looks like Kenny Rogers. He's like, remember, he's some big fat white guy on the set, but he's like, don't forget, Johnny, you might be the world's A-list actor, but you're also one of the most elite martial artists in the world. Mm-hmm. So he's got to explain all that shit.
Well, good news for you. Johnny Cage will not be in the new one.
I know.
But the reason why he's not going to be in the new one is because they want to introduce him in the second film.
Yeah.
So they're already planning like this trilogy thing for Mortal
But
Kombat.
I think that was a thing where it's like now they can say that, but it's a thing where like we're going to see how well the first one does until we introduce arguably the most unbelievable character. The guy Shadows as an actual martial artist, but he's also an Oscar-winning actor, or he's like an action
star.
But yeah, I always thought that like I could believe everything else, that there's another dimension and everything, but this guy, moonlighting as an actor while he's also doing this tournament shit, like it doesn't make sense to me.
How about Princess Katana?
Barely in it.
I know.
She's
barely in it.
She's a huge part of the games.
I felt like kind of a wasted character because I was like, what is her purpose?
I think that's another one.
Except to whisper like in cryptic shit.
That's another one when you're watching it, you feel like originally she had a much larger role. And then they end up cutting out almost all of her scenes. I have a feeling. Yeah, I don't know for sure.
Because it was a kind of a big setup with the evil wizard in telling Reptile to like watch over her and don't let them be together. And then Reptile dies and nothing really happens.
I know, because because it was, again, they were trying to tie in the game, but this movie is so loosely based on the game that it really almost has nothing to do with it. But they were really trying to tie it, because eventually in the games, I don't know, Katana and Liu Kang, they're lovers.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they got like a bunch of kids. That was a whole, and that was like the thing I think they were trying to tease at, but you don't really get it. And then they have a weak her and Liu Kang have one of the weakest fight scenes. It's so soft. I mean, they're playing it so safe with these but like he really didn't want to fucking hurt her. But it just looks super cheesy. Yeah. But and they add a ton of characters in these games or in this movie that aren't in the games at all. Like, which is so ridiculous. There's so many characters in the video game. Why couldn't they have more characters? Like when at the very end, when Shang Tsung calls in all the dead warriors or whatever. Why could that have not been all video
all
game?
the characters.
Not a single one of those guys are like a
They're
samurai
like
guy.
Mongolians and stuff like that. I'm like,
Not a single one of them is in the game. Why couldn't you have like that? That would have been the perfect cameo
to bring them in for the ones that you couldn't introduce.
To have lesser known
movie.
characters, and then you could just kill them off immediately, and then but everyone would have been like, "Oh, that's cool." They're bringing back Baraka and all these other people, but no, just random fucking monks and all kinds of shit. Yeah, but yeah, let's talk about Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Yes,
who are the fan favorites of the video games for sure, but. Again, underutilized in this film for sure.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, and too, I go back to it again, but I have not seen this film up until a couple days ago. So I've been seeing all the trailers, all the hype for like Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and I'm thinking they must have had a prominent role in the first one. And then I just watched the first one, and they're hardly in it at all.
I know.
And then Sub-Zero has like a very fast death.
Yeah,
with the ice pick.
Anticlimactic, I would say. They're all anticlimactic.
For sure.
Yeah, none of the deaths are good in this, unfortunately.
No, I mean, Scorpion was kind of fun, the whole explosion thing. But
yeah, that's cool. But with these, and that's what the new one's going to get right, because they've already been saying it's the craziest deaths of any movie. But the fatalities are so over the top, but they had to play
in the video game.
They had to play it so safe in the movie because they couldn't be rated R.
Right.
At that time, having a rated R video game movie
was unheard of.
Insanity, because at that point, the only people that were playing video games were teenagers. Right. Now, these guys all got fucking kids, and they're so
and they're playing video
they're adults.
Games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you could have a rated R, but back then you just couldn't do it. There just wasn't enough confidence in the studio or anything.
The same idea with like Marvel and stuff like that. They just recently 5-6 years ago started making
exactly.
rated R
It's
films,
crazy that it's just so recent, but you got to go with like how old the people were originally. I mean, these kids were kids when Mortal Kombat came out, and now they're in their 30s to 40s.
It's wild.
It is wild.
It's wild.
But all the deaths are pretty especially Sub-Zero's death, where they just kind of like
throw the giant ice pick, and they're like, use the water.
Yeah, I mean,
or use what makes life, and he goes, oh, the water, but all the water spilled out, but somehow there's still water in the bucket.
You think he couldn't be frozen?
Right.
He's Sub-Zero. You think like he could, like, the one thing is like he couldn't be hurt by it, but he gets frozen.
And the physics behind a giant ice pick in a bucket that had maybe 6 ounces of water. How does that work?
I know.
How does it work?
I know. And during that one, they say flawless victory. They say it throughout the film. There was really only 2 flaws.
There was.
There was Johnny Cage when he fights Goro.
Yep.
Because Goro never gets a hit on him.
No.
And I think when I can't remember the other one. I think it's when Johnny Cage fights Scorpion again too. I don't think he gets a hit on. But they say flawless victory throughout the entire thing,
and a lot of them aren't.
No, a lot of them it's kind of close.
Yeah,
it's kind of a close battle. But yeah, I liked. I liked how the very first fight was Sonya Blade versus just some random lion guy. Remember that?
Yeah.
Again, a wasted character.
And not only that, too, but that fight scene was kind of embarrassing.
Oh, well, that
because
was,
she was like, ooh, ooh.
Well,
and he would, like, catch her punches, but you could tell he was just like this.
Yeah.
Just, like, holding her hands, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
Well, that and her fight and the Kano fight, which Kano, he's one of the most annoying characters in the fucking Mortal Kombat. He's in every Mortal Kombat game, but he's just shitty.
Yeah.
He's exactly like he is in this movie. He's just always the second in command. But, yeah, she finishes him in this one.
She does. Yeah.
He says, give me a break. And very nice. Yes, she goes,
okay.
Okay. And I bet the guy writing that film was like
this is going to hit.
God, I got a winner. Like dude, people will stand up in the audience and give it an ovation when
awesome
they hear this fucking line.
And not the case, dude. I hated that scene too because she was like grabbed him by her legs.
Yeah,
like physics,
so easy.
You can't break someone's.
Well, physics is not really part of these games. You know, Liu Kang doing a bicycle kick, 40 kick through there.
That's true.
Physics.
I can't. I'll be fine with those, but the whole breaking a neck with your feet, I got a hard time.
These guys are super. They're the greatest warriors
on planet Earth.
They just all happen to come from America.
Right. That too, ironically enough.
There's no other good fighters around the world. They all are fucking American. Yeah. It's ridiculous. You can't think logically when thinking about this. No, you cannot. But the games, for filmmakers, it's kind of like a safety net. They can always go, well, the games are ridiculous. Yeah. So the movie you can make but there's a middle ground there that you have to hit.
Right.
And hopefully the new one is kind of doing that. You got to keep it grounded in a way.
Yeah.
But this one wasn't really worried about that at all. But it reminds me of looking at your shirt, but the only time we get the logo is the boat.
On the boat. Yeah, the old
kind of a little
boat.
I know that you think anyone would have gone on that fucking boat.
Hell
There's no sails.
That shit pulls up. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. I don't care about this.
It's clearly a ghost ship.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so obvious. There's no sails. All the sails are rotting away. It doesn't make any sense that this boat is moving.
Yeah, what? Who is controlling this boat?
Makes zero sense. But all of them were like, hey, let's fucking do it.
I want to know who's the best in the world. This Mortal Kombat game.
I know, and getting them all there too is Johnny Cage.
Challenge?
It's like they couldn't write a reason for him to get on the boat.
No,
so they're
he was like, old sensei.
Yeah, I want to be the best.
Right?
So
Why not?
So
Don't pass up this opportunity.
I'll leave my very lustrous movie career and go and fight in this tournament that no one's ever heard of. Even back then in the 90s, you'd be like, okay, I can look it up, I can call someone.
Right, yeah.
I'll give me some details about it. Nothing. Not even that. He gives him an old box with a scroll in it. Well, fine. This is normal.
And he knows he could potentially die in this tournament.
Yeah.
Hey, again, give up all that.
It's literally called Mortal
Kombat. Yeah, exactly.
Giving the sense that everyone is at the risk of dying here, but except for Shang Tsung, who's got souls up the ass, dude.
It's true.
He's been really taking advantage of this whole tournament for a long time. But again, ancient evil wizard, you can't trust him.
No,
ever,
never.
And they never fight either. I mean, he never fights. Why is he getting the souls?
I wanted to see him and Raiden fight. That would have been fun.
Oh yeah, well if you had more money.
Yeah, it's true. Another $15 million for all the CGI they'd need.
Well, a lot more money to get Lambert back on set.
Oh yeah, for a few more weeks too. Yeah, good point.
Well, the rule is Raiden can't fight in the tournament.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because he's not mortal. Yeah. Hence the name again, Mortal Kombat.
Not Immortal Kombat.
It'd be a long tournament if it was Immortal Kombat.
It would be.
But yeah, he never fights, and they couldn't afford him to throw a punch either.
No.
permanent contract. They got to pay him a little more. He was too busy doing Highlander 2, which was a total bomb.
Yeah.
And now he's in not a whole lot.
Unfortunately. Not these days.
Yeah,
no.
so he should have went all in on this because he's not even in the second. He's not in Mortal Kombat Annihilation. But yeah, I would. I am glad that you enjoyed it.
I did
because it kind of gives me a little more reason. I thought maybe only people that like this movie had to have grown up with it, but I'm glad that you were able to enjoy the campiness.
I did enjoy it, yeah.
And the
I
silliness.
did. And I think the soundtrack helped.
Yeah, and there's something about it being PG-13 too that even gives it a lot more campiness.
Do you think Christopher looks like a when he was younger? I always think he looks like Jonathan Groff.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. If you compare the two side by side, I think
he's a very. I think he was a very handsome man when he was Christopher Lambert. I think he was like odd over for sure. He's got a very deep, kind of iconic voice.
Yeah, I definitely think they look alike. I'll show you off air, but definitely.
He did great. I thought he did good in Raiden.
Yep.
And thank God he didn't do an Asian voice.
That would have came back and
that would have dated this movie a little bit more.
He would have been canceled immediately.
Super offensive. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me in 1995, it would not have surprised because there's no way this movie did not get made without a steady supply of cocaine being introduced into the. Of course.
Is there anything wrong with that?
Is just yeah, no, nothing at all.
Nothing.
You got to feel that these movies just can't be made these days. I mean, really taking a risk on shit like that, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Would you recommend it to people?
Absolutely.
You should watch it before you watch the new one.
The new one, yeah.
We don't know yet. This one could be the better one.
And a little fun announcement. We were a week too early on this, so we will be reviewing Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation next week.
Which really gets fucking wild.
Yeah, which will be even better. So I am looking forward to that, Cash.
Which was absolutely just a money grab.
Of course.
This movie made really good money, and they were like, we got to go now. I don't care if half the actors come back. Get this going. But they have a new bad guy. I won't spoil it, but he's the big bad. That's in most of the Mortal Kombats.
Let's see how much it made. Ooh, yikes.
The new one?
Yeah, no. The 97 Annihilation. Budget 30 million, made 51. Not very good.
Man, that's crazy. They almost doubled the budget for that. For the next one.
Yep.
It's crazy this film was made, even in 1995, that this film was made for 18 million.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive.
The sets are so impressive in this. The tombs and everything look so fucking good. And you just know they just threw all that shit away when they were done.
Yeah.
You know, that's the wild thing. That's the wild thing about filmmaking is you just get rid of all that shit when you're done. Yeah. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
For sure.
As far as Mortal Kombat Annihilation, you have to tune in to see if I recommend that.
Right.
Who knows?
Well, half the cast was recast, so.
So always a good sign.
Yeah, always a great sign. Alrighty, well, that is our review for Mortal Kombat, the original 1995 film. If you guys like what you're seeing here, please be sure to like this video, smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause, and until next time.
Bye.